Hello, this is Lisa LaRose here on Connect to Love on PRN-FM, and I'm joined by Michael J. Russ and Carol Collins for another one of the amazing Awakening series with Carol Collins. I would like to welcome you both, and I'm just so excited because the last episode where we talked about raising our frequency using positive language, it left me with so many wonderful feelings in my heart, and knowing that everything tunes into the language of love was a message from Carol Collins and the teachers, and it fills my heart. So I want to say welcome to both of you.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back.
Thank you, Carol, for joining.
It's just such a delight. And for any of our audience, just in case you have not been tuning into the series, I would invite you to please do so. But I want to give a quick bio for those listeners who may not have joined us previously. Carol Collins is known as America's medium. She didn't always have this ability, but in 2019, after a period of 9 months of quiet meditation, Carol started to receive communication from a group of non-physical beings who called themselves the teachers. They first began to communicate with her through face spelling for verbal communication and guidance, but within a few weeks, they were speaking out loud through a process called channeling. And what the teachers bring us is just so amazing. One thing that I'd like to mention for our listeners that might be helpful is that Carol herself is a wonderful person, and she's always so kind to let us know when it's her that's speaking and when it may be one of the teachers that's speaking. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Carol Collins. And Carol, you do such a wonderful job explaining the process of how you became a channel, and so I'll just turn it over to you.
What happened was I fell apart emotionally. Relationships that fall apart make people fall apart, and that's what happened to me. And then I found meditation, and then I just found Abraham, who led me to meditation, and that's really where the start. I was guided, obviously, to lean into channeled specifically, but not spiritual and metaphysical, because that runs the gamut of all kinds of stuff. And so I was guided to Abraham. And then it wasn't long after that I heard Abraham talk about meditation, and that was my first introduction to meditation in general, but it was also a very good introduction, obviously, because it's from non-physical beings. That's the best. But it was silent meditation. And then, I had different experiences while I was in meditation for those 9 months. But March 20th, 2019, right after meditation, my face began moving in cursive writing, and it was in words. And the teachers wrote an entire chapter of a book on creation and about who guides are, and then gave me all kinds of personal guidance that I wrote every bit of it down. But it's not face spelling isn't something that you can look up and say, oh, I want to learn how to do that. It's something that
I wouldn't think so.
your non-physical team can either do it or they can't, and there's not very many of us that have been able to do it. And that lasted about 6 weeks before out loud channeling. But I still use, my face. They still move my face in words sometimes, and it's very fun. But I used it 100% of the time until the out loud channeling came forward. There was some automatic writing. My face moved in cursive writing from left to right. And when you do that with your hand in the air or with your face, you can follow the letters so you know what the words are. There was also some clairvoyant activity that showed up on that same day. And then it was about 6 weeks later that they asked if I'd be willing to allow them to speak out loud. And I said yes. I said, what do you need me to do? And they said, just begin by saying your name and where you live. And I went to say my name. Like, that's what I intended to say. But what came out was another chapter on the information of creation. And it was what I call spontaneous channeling, and it's what they said, not spontaneous. I was 48 at the time, and they said it was not spontaneous. I was about 20 years overdue, and that it had gestated and been under the surface for years. and they kind of laughed through me. They said it was anything but spontaneous. But anyway, that's what. So the face spelling isn't something that you can learn. It's just something that my body was resistant actually to the flow of conversation out loud, and so it was almost like a backup method that the teachers needed to use in order to communicate with me. I think the spiritual community would call it first contact, and I find that a little too strange of a phrase, so I don't use it. But some of the listeners might understand that phrase. First two-way dialogue that I had with them was in the way of them causing my face to move left to right in cursive so that they could communicate. It was wonderful.
Oh, it is. It's incredible. And one of the things that is so unique, and I know that they have really applauded you for, is that you have allowed them to you are really truly an open channel. I have just the sheer number of books and the information that comes through the teachings. It started with the 4 pillars of learning, which they call the essential material. And it has really blossomed like a beautiful tree that it's just, you see these little buds, and then all of a sudden, it's amazing, all of the blossoms that come, and then the fruits of those teachings, because you are inspiring and helping other people become channeled, not just through your workshops and the teachings, but also through the books. And it's just delightful.
Yeah, I love that you added that. It's the books are color-coded to match the chakra system that the pillar aligns to. So pillar 1 is orange, that's the sacrum. Pillar 2 is blue, that's the throat chakra. Pillar 3 is red, and that matches the root chakra. And pillar 4 is violet, which is the crown chakra. And yes, they do write the books very specifically to open people up to stronger intuition. And that's something that everybody needs. But then on top of that, anybody who's really interested in opening their mind to communication in the way of mediumship, intuition is not verbal. It's what they just say it's a nudge. We give you a vibrational suggestion, and they said it's basically just a nudge. Would you do this? Would you do this? And most of the time the mind says no. It rejects intuition. And they've actually quantified it with 98% of the time. Intuited request to manifest something is rejected by the inner mind. And that's what needs to be fixed. So they're doing that first. The classes are all channeled, the books are channeled, everything's on video, and it's really just been a marvelous 5 years. And I just went over the 5-year mark, and they've been teaching since that first December, so 9 months in. So I just say, 4 years they have been teaching groups of people, and in that 4 years' time, and I find this amazing, I don't have a huge following, but it is very broad. I have United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Ireland, Scotland, Great Britain, Poland, Russia, Ukraine, Spain, Africa, the country of Georgia, Germany, the Netherlands, and Norway. That's a lot. That's a lot in 4 years' time. And the funny thing is, they've asked me to, not do massive amounts of advertising and don't do what other people do, and just use energy work and be a role model, but also, a person who they teach energy work and guidance fixes everything that you're needing. It's when you combine those two, true guidance and good, solid, healthy doses of energy work, which is, they give so many different methods and ways in the classes and in the workshops. And when you make energy work and guidance part of how you live your life, then just go be a mainstream person who does energy work and watch how life is easier, things are better, people are kinder, and you manifest easier. And so that's how I'm manifesting business. So I don't have a huge following yet, but it is global, and that's fun.
Mm-hmm. The fact that you have blossomed all over the world is phenomenal. I believe that will continue. I think you do too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I sure do. They've got big plans.
You get exactly who needs it.
Without a doubt, one of the wisdoms that the teachers have brought forth that I have employed in my life, which I was so grateful, is my life is perfect because my guide makes it so. And really, it is so divinely perfect. Every challenge seems to unfold exactly the way that it's meant to, so that I can either grow or that another doorway that I could not even have imagined that would have been better than what I thought the way something was going to go will unfold. And it's so amazing. And when you really embody, my life is perfect, everything is perfect.
Because my guide makes it so. Yeah, because my guide makes it so. Yeah, because, there is law of attraction. And so you can get a powerfully good life with law of attraction. You can. But you got to start young, and you got to do it consistently. So, anybody that's got grandkids or young parents, start your kids with meditation. And then start them with a phrase like that. Today is perfect. Today's going to be perfect. Today's going to be happy. Today is going to be easy for me to stay in alignment, but also go to bed that way. Today, there are many good things in today, and tomorrow we'll have even more. Now, that's powerful for kids because you don't want them to be oddly spiritual. You want them to be, kids and then grow into adolescence and then adulthood. It doesn't include feeling like an outcast. So today had many good things in it. Now, that's not saying it's kind of whitewashing it. Even if it was a bad day, there's some good things in it. And so today had many good things, and tomorrow's going to have even more. I'm looking forward to tomorrow because it's going to have even more good things. And that's a good way to start. It starts law of attraction in a positive way. But so you can, without a doubt, manifest using psychic tendency. That's what law of attraction is. That's, the way the teachers describe it is the subconscious mind has many different parts. And two of those parts, when they work in unison, is law of attraction. You have one that goes out and gets information and one that presents it to you. And that's how you manifest. So you got to tell it what you want. I want happy. I want good. I want fun. I want exciting. I want good timing. I want compliments. I want income that feels good. And that's what people forget. I want this job with an income that feels good. It's not I want to feel good about the income. I got to force myself to deal with the income. That's totally different. I want a job with an income that feels good. I want a Friday night that feels fun. And I want it to be with other people. It's making those phrases well-rounded. And then looking up to the right, because that's where the court of illumination is. And then just saying, because my guide makes it so. I'm a person. And I love that phrase. I'm a person just like everybody else. And I say it with a twist when I say it to them. This morning, it was funny. I was out for a walk in between appointments. And I had a phone call. And I knew that I shouldn't answer the phone call because I went out for a walk specifically to just be in nature for a minute and enjoy the sunshine and the breeze. But I took the phone call, and I felt impatient, and I felt like I was doing the wrong thing. And so I got off the phone, and then I had a conversation with the teachers, and they said, well, it's very simple. Nothing to beat yourself up over. Number one, your vibration didn't go through the phone call because you kept yourself light. But number two, now you know. Your preference was me first. Be on this walk for 10, 20 minutes and then go back and engage with people. And that's sometimes what we don't do enough of. Sometimes you just know, I just really need a little bit of me time. But all things considered, it's just how you project your day. And sometimes, I know that they wanted to talk a little bit about lucid dreaming today and how you imagine your life to be. And that's one of the books that's coming out is called Imagination. And it's interesting because throughout the book, they repeat, imagine it to be. And then they go into a little bit of and I asked them, I said, is this a multi-chaptered book? And I said, it's just so poetic how you keep saying, imagine it to be, and then several more pages. And they said, no, and all these books are just labeled chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. And they said, but you love it so much. If you want it to be the title of the only chapter that's in the book, you can do so. And I said, I think I want to, if that's okay with you. And they said, we're fine with that. It doesn't match the other book, but it is unique because it also only has one chapter. So it stands out, but it also stands out vibrationally. And, Lisa, I know that you have the book in your email, and you don't know this, but what they told me earlier was that the inner mind of you has already read that book about 10 times without your eyes being on it. Have you actually read the book yet?
Yes, I did. And there is so much in there. It's hard for me to quantify what it does, for me anyway, because I am a person who lives very much in my imagination and really understand the power of imagination. It was just the perfect book for me to start with. It was absolutely perfect. And when they talked about the energy field that's around us, and I know for a lot of our listeners, they may not realize that there is this energy field around us, and that when we engage the senses of what we feel and what we smell and whatnot, as we imagine, it helps to shape our reality. And I think that that is what this book affirms for me. This is the key. This is the key. So please.
Yeah. You know, one of these days, I know for a fact that one of these days, someone who is very, very good with special effects is going to walk into my life and just say, I need to help you. and because there's so many things that the teachers teach me, and that's where my mind goes is, oh my gosh, I need special effects. You know, the chakras that come from the trees. I was walking today, and this row of trees, it was through a narrow street in Old Town Alexandria. And I'm walking down the sidewalk, and there's trees that are cascading over the sidewalk, over the street. And they reminded me the trees have chakras, and their chakras are drawing negative emotion away from you. They're drawing negative emotion away from you so that you don't absorb it in the grid. So, you know, when you see the green on the trees, that green is drawing negative emotion so that the heart chakra doesn't get impacted. And so they, you know, but they have described and they've drawn it for me using automatic writing with crayons and colored pencils. It's what I happen to have, and they said it looks like this, and they swirl like this. And so a special effects person would just have such a wonderful time recreating a visual of what they describe. But, you know, with that book, I had so much fun with that book. And we were talking about the section where they're talking about buying a house on the beach. And for the listeners, this is how it basically went. And I'll just paraphrase a little bit. They give a before and after for a comparison's sake. And the before is, I was walking around and I made a left-hand turn, and my husband and I saw this house, and the guy was out front, and we made him a cash offer, and it's been ours forevermore, and we love it, blah, blah, blah. And it was very short. And what the contrasting information was, you're putting too much specifics there. Number one, you're with somebody, and it is your husband, and maybe you're not married yet. You made a left-hand turn. There was a person out front, and that was a man, and you made him a cash offer right then. But what if you didn't have cash in your wallet? What if you didn't have enough cash in the bank? What if you had to liquidate it first? You know, so, but we made him a cash offer right there and then. They said what the inner mind does is it tries to create, it's like on autopilot. How can I make a left-hand turn with someone outside who's willing to sell their house on the beach? And it will go forevermore trying to create that for you. And if you love that story and you tell it to yourself a lot, because it sounds more well-rounded, you can just really put a powerful roadblock. They said it's better to say something like this. And this is what you were saying earlier, Lisa, with, you know, the power of perfection. Paraphrasing here from the book, the house that we just bought on the beach is perfect. Perfect neighborhood, perfect home. It's a perfect view, perfect location. My neighbors are perfect. We like each other very much. My environment here is perfect. I feel perfect. It came to me with ease. The whole situation was perfect. I was happy the whole time. The price was perfect. I felt great about it. The whole process was perfect. The move went perfectly. Everything that I wanted to fit in this house fits perfectly. I love this house. We love this house, and we have beautiful, perfect experiences in this house with everyone that ever comes to visit. And, you know, they went on, and they just made it so much more general and used the word perfect, perfect, perfect. And I had a conversation with them afterwards, and they said, it does sound a little awkward. So perfect. It's so perfect. And they said, but we're not putting any negative connotation. If you say perfect, then it will be the most perfect that law of attraction can create. But if you say, I like it, then law of attraction has exponential room to grow. When you know, the difference between I like this house very much and the house is perfect for us. Everything about it is perfect. There's just so much more emotion and feeling, and there's so much more positivity. So the inner mind just looks in general for positive energy, fills you up with it, and then a house that meets your needs. And it's just a cute little book. I love it.
Oh, I love it too. And one of the other poignant parts for me was that they said, we all want you to have no need for limitations, which is exactly what you were speaking to, Carol.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know, because, and I'm sure Michael is equally as curious, that when we are awake, our mind sets up these limitations, but when we dream, and is this part of the power of lucid dreaming, to be able to manifest in our dream state where we can, I mean, I've had dreams where I fly or that I can jump from the base of a building to the top of the roof. And there are really no limitations in my dream. And so how do we translate that? And are we more open to receiving messages from our guides in our dream state? And you also use the word dreamscaping, which I absolutely love because I think about landscaping, and I like that dreamscaping. I know it's a big question, so however you or the teachers would like to answer, I would love to know.
I was just going to say, let's bring them in because I know that they've got some specific things that they want to talk about with lucid dreaming and also dreamscape. And so a nice, easy process. I just wait for them to show up. Probably, Michael, you've got something to say, and I think they're waiting for you to say that, and then they're going to jump in.
I was just going to ask, the book that you were talking about, is that already published or something you're working on?
It is in the hands of a most perfect, most friendly, most generous person, and her name is Lisa LaRose, and she is putting it into the proper format so that it can be uploaded as a proper book. It's done. Lisa's putting it into the specific application that's needed. But it's all complete. And there's another one right after called Bestow, and another one called Desire, and then another one called Joy. And those are the ones that are all done as far as the little nugget books go. And then there's a handful of other books that are coming.
And I think Imagination will be ready to be published in probably the next 24 hours. I would envision.
Well, that's nice to hear. Let's imagine that to be. So we're right here. We're a group of beings, and we're here, and we do want to talk to you a little bit about dreams first, and then lucid dreaming, and they are two different things. So we know exactly who's listening to this for about the next month and a half. We have in the non-physical place forecasted, based on energy, everybody that's going to be drawn into the realm of the podcast and also listening, not casual listening, but listening. And so we're going to describe this. Dreamscape is when you are waking up. It is the landscape of having your awake, aware self be brought all the way up to the surface. It is the landscape of waking up. And in that landscape, you sometimes have dreams that you remember. Now, you always have their thoughts. So they are unconsciously conjured thoughts that you sometimes remember. And in that dreamscape, it is the various levels of alpha, all levels of alpha. In those levels of alpha, as you're going from theta or lower all the way back up through beta, those are the brain waves. For those that are interested, you can look those up. It's very interesting. And there is a variation that medical technology has been able to identify, and they're not accurate all the way, but they're not bad. But they do show you that brainwave activity does change based on level of awareness of the unconscious mind. When you are going through alpha and going down, you are simply what you call, quote, falling asleep, unquote. But as you are going from lower levels of unawareness all the way back up to full awareness, which is beta, that's what we call in alpha, that's what we call the dreamscape. Now, when you are dreaming, we do want you to ignore every scenario whatsoever. It is a psychological effect of waking up. Everything that you have going on for the last week rises to the surface, and any of the healing that got done, the emotional recalibration, that's what we mean by healing, not physical healing, emotional recalibration, those two things get commingled. And it's a variety of different things that you tend to remember on the outside. What we do want you to remember, and we would like you to have a notebook by your bedside and a writing utensil that works. Law of attraction strongly at play, and it could make you forget or drop something or not have any lead in the pencil. And so when you wake up, the very, very, very first thing we want you to do is say good morning to that Ethno teacher, that non-physical teacher. That's the very best thing to get your day started in the right direction. And right after that, if you have a dream that you can remember, Ignore all of the content except for the emotion. Write as many emotional words or emotional phrases down as you can. Now, emotional words are, of course, disappointment, fear, exhilaration, love, but they can also be, I don't know, I feel stuck, I'm afraid, what's going on here, mass confusion. And so whatever comes to mind to describe the emotional landscape, and those are the things that were tended to or amplified. So let's say, and Lisa, you mentioned, jumping from one building to another. So let us ask you, did you feel exhilaration or a little bit of fear in the jumping from building to building, as best as you can remember?
Exhilaration.
Okay.
That's a
All right.
perfect word.
So the actual jumping from building to building does not mean anything. There is some real estate things that you're interested in and that could have been part of it, but there's also been some changes in the air, and there's also been some emotional up and downs. Emotional up and downs can make you feel like a bird in flight when you are in that dreamscape. So all of those things can be identified in a private session. We can go all the way down to the nth degree about what each object meant, and they're not identical, each dreamer or each building. They could be different things. So what you want to do is really narrow it down. How did I feel? If you have exhilaration, as you did, then what negative emotions were being tended to were complete. And so you wake up with the memory of dreamscape being positive. Now, if you have maybe fear, or maybe you're stuck, you're running and you can't really go anywhere, your legs can't really move, you're in quicksand, or they're moving, but you're not able to move your legs, it's like slow motion, and they're not moving, you want to move. Well, that would mean an emotional phrase of, I just felt stuck, I couldn't go anywhere, and it was alarming, is a good word. More than concern, it was alarming. I couldn't get anywhere. I felt like someone was coming after me. I felt haunted. I felt scared. I felt, as the emotional words are coming forward, just write them down, and then right underneath it, write these words. I love my non-physical guide, and I thank them for tending to all of the emotions that I just wrote down. And then your day is off to a better start. When you do something like that, lucid dreaming becomes easier. Lucid dreaming is when you are wide awake, many, many times eyes open. And it is a visceral image that your mind captures. Now, it's not conjuring. So what people think of as imagination is not imagination at all. It's not. It is structurally being created. It's being created in the mind first and then in the physical. So let's say you're wanting to buy a new hat. Summer's coming and you're thinking that, the hats that are on the market look pretty nice and you're thinking about buying one. Well, you might imagine yourself going to the store and picking up a hat. You might see an image in your mind that feels like a memory. It's not a memory. It's not a memory. Your mind has elasticity and speed that you're not aware of. And in the moment that you think about hats and buying one, it might fling its awareness all the way to TJ Maxx and look to see if any of the hats are there that you're wanting, because it knows what you have looked at before and felt good. And so if you have positive emotion, then you might be motivated to go to the store, and then you might find something that you want. But if you have negative emotion in that moment, you might be holding yourself apart from going to the store if there's one there. But there's so many variables to this. Let's say that in the moment that you're thinking about hats and you've got an image in you think, and then you see an image. All of you do it. All people do it. You think about a topic or a subject, and then you see yourself doing it. Michael, you mentioned that you've been practicing the Sumari channeling, and when you said, I always sit down. Well, when you said, and I always sit down when I do it, you had off to the right-hand side an image of you previously sitting down. Now, that's not an image of the past.
You're right.
It's an image of the. It's an image.
Yes.
It's an image of the future. It's an image that the mind is creating. And so, let's say that you are someone who has not ever done your Sumari channeling in a park setting, and let's say you would like to. Summer's coming. You could sit down and, with your eyes open or closed, simply picture yourself in a park that you are aware of, something that you're nearby, something where you could actually get to. You're trying to do something easy here. Lucid dreaming is creating. So even though you've never gone to that particular park and done your Samari channeling, what you do is you try to picture yourself. We'll let you do it in a moment and see if you can. What you want to do is picture yourself.
I just pictured it. I already pictured it.
Well, we're guiding you to it. We're guiding you to it. Your mind is doing it, but we're going to have you do it again so that it gets stronger. But what happens is the mind will go to that location, and it does go to that location. And if you are able to see it in 3D and in color, not translucent, but strongly concrete, then you are on your way to manifesting it. Now, you might never do it, but if you create that lucid moment, lucid means it is in a dimension that is not the one you are experiencing. It is in a dimension where things are being created. When you do a lucid dream moment on the same topic again and again, that lucid dream will start to broaden and thicken and become, you might start to even feel the breeze on your face. And when you can feel some visceral physical things, then it's imminent. When will it happen? You don't know.
Right. Because
the inner mind of people do not have an ability to put a date on it. And so let's say that you really wanted to do that this Saturday, and this Saturday you would want to have that image. What you're doing is you're asking the non-physical part of you to go to the park setting and put you there and make the environment such that you could practice Samari channeling without being distracted by too much commotion. And then what you want to do is you want to put the date right above you, Saturday, April 20th, 2024, and then let the image just float away. What you will find is on Saturday, if let's say you can do that, and if you can get the date on there nice and easy, even better. If you can't, then ask your guide to do it for you. But if you can, then on Saturday you will feel motivated to some degree to get yourself over to the park. But what also is happening is the non-physical mind will identify when the park bench is free and help motivate you to get there at that time. Now that is circumventing law of attraction, because law of attraction you might never get there, or law of attraction you might get there, but there might be somebody that's sitting there that doesn't budge, and so you can't use the bench, so you've had bad timing. Lucid dreaming is, I want this on this day, I want this on this day, and doing it repetitively again and again, then you will find motivation, internal motivation, to get there, to experience the thing that the mind created for you. Many times what people see is a hollow structure, like a hologram, translucent and or structureless, and that's good, that's a start, but it's not manifestable. We just talked about the new books coming out, and so there's a collection of essays that we've asked Carol to do just today. Now, she has not used the lucid dream moment, but we know that she will today. And what that will do is she'll picture a book being in her hands and flipping through it that has the section dividers for essay pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3, pillar 4. Now, in this moment, her mind is saying, I can go there, but it's not accurate because the mind is not ready for it. So what her mind just conjured now, as we're giving this part of the conversation, her mind pictured a hardcover book with a jacket on it. Now, her books right now don't have any jackets on it, but her mind must want a jacket on the book because it put one on there. But her typical preference isn't to do that because she hasn't perfected the method of creating the jacket yet. It's just not one of her fortes yet. But somewhere in her memory, we call that the grid, somewhere in her, she must want very, very, very badly jackets on her hardcover books because her mind just created that. It's creating. You're not imagining, and that's why the word is a misnomer. You are creating, but it's in the imaginative realm of possibilities. So when you think about your airspace, your air, the literal air, is divided into different types of dimensions. One of those dimensions is time itself. Another is imaginative possibilities. And that's where when you create, well, here's this, we love this, and this is how you've drawn it from us. When you are wanting to manifest something, you are putting it in a layer of your air where things are gestating. And you have to know how to go back to a specific area in the air. You can document it with energy techniques so that your mind goes back there. Now you could do this technique, and it might create, let's say you do it 5 days in a row. What the inner mind will do is it will create a new one each of those 5 times. It won't enhance the first one. But if you train the mind to go to a very specific place using an energy marker technique, then it will amplify the first, and then amplify 1 and 2, amplify 1, 2, and 3, amplify 1. And so that situation that you're wanting to manifest becomes more lucid instead of translucent. But the mind doesn't automatically do that, and that's where so many people are not able to manifest the life that they're wanting. Well, let's just talk about money, because everybody wants money. And we want people to have money because there's so many fun things to do in the world. We want people to be able to, so Carol's mind right now is jumping towards someone. She lives in a high-rise condo, and so someone in her building probably has a light tan leather billfold that opens up with one fold, because what her mind just saw a man's wallet of that shape and size open up with a lot of cash inside of it. Now that's good. Now her mind is not jumping into somebody's physical space watching them open their wallet. Her mind is identifying that someone has a wallet and then creating money in it. Now that image that her mind just created, and we say created, not conjured, created, that image is put into a dimension of potential reality. Now, the very, very best thing for her to do is go find a wallet that looks like the one that she saw in her mind and give it to her son-in-law. Not with money in it, just give it to him. And then keep going back to that image and asking that it go back to the make it one image that it amplifies, and then watch how her son-in-law starts carrying cash, and then carrying cash consistently, and then carrying large bills. You get to influence other people. Isn't that fun? But wow. The power of the mind, it's not imagination, but yet it is. Because until you can get it out of the layer of time, dimensional reality is where you are. You don't know it, but it's good to have this conversation. Until you get it out of that layer of potentiality, it could stay there forever. To get it out, you need to, it's not inspiration, and it's not just meditation either. It is not wanting it, but it's identifying how to cause the non-physical mind to go back to the same creation in the layer of potentiality and build upon it. Otherwise, it just creates a new one and a new one and a new one and a new one and a new one. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Truly.
It's a different take on anything I've ever heard, and it is fascinating. My mind is reeling just thinking about it. Yeah.
Well, let's take that somewhere. Let's take that somewhere. So where's your mind going with it? Let's amplify it now while it's fresh.
What my mind is reeling about is what you just said about finding the same image, actually going back to the same image and amplifying that image. Because it's true. I get the fact that if I every single day come up with a different image, then all I'm doing is I'm not amplifying the first image. I'm just creating new images every day.
Well, it's not you. It's not you. You could see the exact same image, but what the mind will do, it's by an auto function. The mind creates new because we don't recycle. We don't recycle. In the non-physical place, when we create, it's perfect and it's done. But when you're in the physical world, you're still using your non-physical mind, but it's not done. It is put into a layer of potentiality.
Right.
And so when you see the image, if it could still look the same, but it's a new one. And so how do you...
Yeah, how?
Okay, so let's do that. So the easiest way to do it is to identify where in the air. So let's say, you know those sci-fi shows or those scientific shows or special effects kind of shows, and you've got an air board in front of you, and you can write in the air, and it comes up on a board. Okay, so let's pretend that you've got an invisible, it's real, it's not invisible, board in front of you. It's just clear. Now, we want you to take line of sight or your finger, because your finger has energy in it, and motion to where you want the image to accumulate energy. So you want to accumulate energy. So let's say, what's something that you're wanting to manifest, Michael?
Nothing. Let's say a new car. Let's say that.
Okay, a new car. Do you know what kind of car you already want?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So you don't have to name it. You don't have to do anything. Just it is within your eyesight, your peripheral vision. You want to create a marker point of where this new car, not all new cars, this new car, where do you want your lucid dream creating moments? Let's say it like this, pausing. Let's say that you were an artist and you had a room that you were creating a new piece of art, and you had your canvas, and you were doing a little bit today, and you only did it on weekends. Let's say you just updated it. Okay. All right. So it's kind of the same thing. You don't do lucid dreaming on anything 24 hours a day. So you want to go back to it and keep adding on, back to it and add on, back to it and add on. And so in this spatial orientation in front of you, identify where you want the creation of this new car for you to go. And then all your thoughts will go there. But all of the physical thoughts, so you have to identify, these are my physical thoughts only. Otherwise, your entire thought, which includes idea plus emotion, and all of your emotions are not good in the moment. And if you can identify what location, then your mind will simply say this: it is done. But if you don't create by way of spatial orientation where your new car creation thoughts are supposed to go, then it'll just put it here and there and everywhere.
Right.
If you could see what the layer of potentiality looks like, it looks like garage sale. It looks like Hoarder City is what it looks like. Hoarder City. Because it's
great analogy on that one. Great visual.
Right. Because it's everyone's. Everyone's is in there. Everyone's is in there. And so how do you, and you can do this, you can put it out there that, let's say that you just want a brand new Maserati. Brand new. 2024 royal blue Maserati convertible, and it's got all the bells and whistles. Well, you could picture it, and you're putting it in that layer of potentiality. Now, if you are driving, let's say you're driving to the airport, and you park in the airport, and you go in the airport, there's all kinds of people from everywhere. Right. You could tune into someone else who just bought a Maserati, and then your mind will say, I did it. I manifested it. But you didn't manifest driving it. You manifested tuning into someone else feeling accomplished on buying a Maserati. If you tune into someone else's thought process and you soak it all the way into the grid, your inner mind checks it off and says, done, and then you don't get it.
Right.
How about that for law of attraction enthusiasts?
No kidding.
So there's more to it. So where did you put it? spatial orientation. Where did you put it? This new car.
Spatial in the room or on that grid, holographic grid?
On the board. On the board. Well, don't call it holographic because it'll create a holographic grid.
Top right corner.
It's just in the top right corner.
Top right corner.
Okay. So your thoughts will go there for this new car that you're wanting. Now, if you change your mind, now you have to ask your non-physical guide to disintegrate the partial creation so that you can reuse that space.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, let's say that you left it there and you decided you didn't want that, you wanted a Mercedes-Benz instead.
Mm-hmm.
Toyota Celica, doesn't matter. Let's say you changed your mind or circumstances caused you to change your mind. Well, now if you understand this, the inner mind is on autopilot. It says that top right corner is for new cars, and it adds the S even though you didn't. And so if you don't ask your non-physical guide to dissolve what is
top right corner.
well, now you're looking for a Mercedes-Benz / Maserati convertible, and there is no such thing. It doesn't exist. And so it'll just keep on going and putting thoughts out there, but it can never manifest. And so, there's a thing to be said about listening to the whole podcast because it really does make a difference. We'll work with you on that sometime.
Wow. And I just have a quick question for the teachers in regards to that then. So if you amplify that place in that upper right corner, as Michael did, and you add emotion to it or in that waking moment of that dreamscaping, does that help bring it into manifestation?
You create an energy line. Now, you can do it with your eyes, open or closed, and you can do it with your finger. And it doesn't matter what finger, but it's best not to use your center finger because the world uses the center finger for anger. And so you don't, that's the only reason why. That's the only reason why. And so it's good to use any other finger. Now, we say the index finger because the wavelength of thought that is drawn into the index finger or the index toe, which is the toe right next to the large toe, that is the wavelength of I am interested. And so that's a good one. The thumb is I am confident. And so you could use your thumb, you could use the index finger, and those would be probably the best two. You could use your whole hand if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. But you are creating, it is creating an energy line. And it absorbs your thought. It's like a tunnel. Mm. You've got a tunnel for cars and a tunnel for boats, say. You've got a tunnel for relationships. You've got a tunnel for money. You've got a tunnel for decorating your bedroom. You've got a tunnel for what am I going to eat for dinner? And all of your thoughts go in the tunnel and they commingle with each other in general. That's a line of energy on a topic. And if you could see it, it's like quicksand in there.
So the finger, I guess the question is, you mentioned this earlier about using a finger to create an energy line. Are we actually taking the finger to the point on the board? Like for me, the top
it's
right.
It's not a board.
I mean,
the best way to say it would be.
I just said that because we use it as a board.
Yeah.
What would you call it?
The best way to say it is the location of cars manifesting for me. Mm-hmm. The location. And because that's what it is. Now, we say spatial orientation that looks kind of like a rectangle in front of you, but doesn't have to be. It could be behind you. It could be above you. It could be hovering over your shoulder. It's wherever you put it, but you need to remember where you put it. But it's the location, and that's really the best way to put it. But it's not a board. It's
okay.
Yeah, because it's a layer of time.
A layer of time. I was going back to the analogy. Apologies, but okay.
So let's put it this way. Let's put it this way before we move on. Where you are right now, you have manifested what you have right now. So whatever all three of you, and we're talking to Carol's mind as well, whatever all three of you are looking at, you have manifested into the manifested reality layer of time. Mm-hmm. But there is another layer that is the unmanifested layer of needs and wants. So how do you get items out of the layer of needs and wants into the layer of current manifestation? You have to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you leave it up to stress and efforting, or maybe never having it. You know, when you want to manifest this car, you want to manifest that car, but you want to manifest all the things that we talked about in the beginning. Carol mentioned as we were beginning about the statement of perfection about the beach, and we love that one because she does want to manifest a beach house, and that is why we put it in there. But for this car, it would be all of your thoughts. The car was perfect. The mechanics were perfect. The electrical system was perfect. The seats were perfectly comfortable. The price was perfect. The purchase scenario was perfect. My mood and my emotions were perfect the whole time. It was a cash deal because cash it's perfect. Perfect is perfect. And so all of your thoughts, I love it, love it, love it. I love it, love it, love it. Now those are good, but it doesn't describe the whole buying scenario. The buying scenario is not the day that you hand over the cash and they hand you the key. The buying scenario is all of your thoughts about what you're wanting. Now, do you want the brakes to work perfectly? Do you want the electronics to work perfectly? Do you want the stereo system to work perfectly? Do you want the windows to work perfectly? Do you want, your luggage to fit in the trunk? You want it to be perfect. And so all of your thoughts go into that location. We just call it the location of manifesting cars for you. And you want it to be just the thought, not the emotion. And so if you say it's where my thoughts and positive emotion goes, the inner mind already knows what the wavelength of positive emotion looks like. And then you start manifesting things faster. Because it leaves out negative emotion.
Right. So basically, it's those thoughts. This is beautiful. The car is perfect. The electronics are perfect. The brakes operate perfectly. The interior is perfect. Fits me just perfectly. I mean, you can go on and on and on and on about what you can the perfection, the aspect of perfection, all basically directed at this location.
You just say it, and the inner mind sends it to that location.
Okay.
It's like having it.
Identify location one time.
Oh yes, only one. It's already done. You already identified it, and so all your thoughts are going there. Now, every time that you come up with another statement about this car, the inner mind is a powerful, non-physical being who is in a limited capacity because you're a human being. But it knows what it's doing, and it will send it there. So when you identify and positive emotion only, then it will.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll explore this one. Yeah, I really.
It's amazing.
No, this is brilliant. It's just a completely different take on anything. Number one that I've ever come across, read, experienced. In any given way, and I much appreciate it. Thank you, teachers.
We love you, and we love that the question came forward, and that it was the right conversation on the right day at the right time to bring that to you. But we say thank you to Lisa as well, because she had a brief conversation with her earlier, with Carol earlier, that said, I would really like to talk about some imaginative things. And, well, isn't that fun?
No, absolutely.
That's where preparing comes into play.
Yeah. This conversation is absolutely perfect. And I just want to mention, because we're running out of time, I don't know where our time, it seems to just disappear in this time and space. But I want to mention to our audience, this is just a little bit. I am blessed to attend the workshops and the classes. And if you are interested, you can go to americas-medium.com. And I would encourage everybody to join Platinum membership. If not, if you just want to try it out, I would suggest there is a monthly Our Knowing, which is a live virtual group reading with the teachers. It's absolutely fabulous. That's every month. There is also a 12-week unfoldment class, as well as a 12-week self-healing class. Now, these classes are always channeled conversation directly from the teachers. They are simply amazing. They are designed to be ongoing, continuing education classes, not a recurring 12-week program. So I think that you will find the variety of topics to be just amazing. I don't know, teachers or Carol, if you want to leave the audience with a parting word until the next episode.
Oh, well, here's me. I just say, wow. That description is probably the most intricate that I've heard them talk about so far. And obviously, this is just tip of the iceberg, because it's just a powerful example of what they know about how to create and who we really are. We are non-physical beings having a physical life experience, and that's a phrase that they've been using again and again, and it's just so powerfully interesting to me. And I tell you what, I'm having lots of conversations with them on that. So
absolutely.
So I'll say this: thank you for the plug on. There are 2 memberships, Gold and Platinum. Gold, you get all kinds of things, but not as much as Platinum, and the cost isn't as much. So Gold is there's a monthly 2-hour workshop, and it's all questions that are asked of the teachers, and so it's a back and forth conversation about how to manifest anything and everything, and all kinds of things come out. There's some people that have asked for evaluations on their abilities and different kinds of things, insight, loved ones coming through. They do all kinds of things. It's not a continuity of life spiritual event. It is conversation with the teachers, and it's powerful. So, but you get a lot of things with it, and it's for a very small monthly amount. Platinum, you get everything that I offer just about. It's all of the classes, unlimited, all of the archives. You get to hear book dictation whenever there's a new one coming out, and the archives for that. You get the Synergistic Wellness magazine subscription, and that comes out once a month. And there's always a powerful Facebook group. It's a private group for members, but I put giveaways and I do free, video lessons in there, and it's just the teachers show up and give, a little information here and there. It's fun, but it's about 60% off of individual prices. So it's not only fun, but it's really affordable, and it is affordable because they asked me to make it that affordable. And they keep adding on too, which I think is funny.
So true. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Enjoy your trip, safe travels, of course, which you will have.
Yes, we are. Okay. We are headed out on a cruise workshop next week. We're going to the Caribbean. We've got another one, plenty of space on the one in July. It's a 6-night cruise workshop, and it's a 2-segment, 6-hour workshop with the teachers, and then some other things that are planned for the fall. And, yeah, anybody just, hop onto the website, americas-medium.com, and whatever you feel drawn to, read it and check it out, and let me know where you heard about me from, because I always like to keep track of that, and I really am putting a lot of mental positive energy out there so that the teachers, the essential material that they teach, reaches more and more people. And that's my goal, is they bring forward powerful stuff. And so it's just, takes a village sometimes, but we're getting it out there.
You are.
Absolutely delightful. Yep. And thank you. Thank you, and thank you to all our listeners. And please do go to americas-medium.com and also on Instagram, because there's messages from the teachers that are. Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Yeah.
And until next time, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.